Why are you saying that? I got it. Good. Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
And I hope I don't get cut off.
Well, if you do, we'll just add you in again.
All right, talk to me.
All
Go
right,
live.
I'm talking. Let's see. Here we go. I'm just checking that we're on. Yes, we are on. I'm talking. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. After a little bit of technical difficulty, we are here with Mark Lonow. Did
Well,
I
you
say,
pronounced it right.
did
That's
I? I was
you're
just
the first. You're the first.
I just actually like wondered if I if I pronounced it correctly. Well, this is just it's one of those days. It's kind of that gloomy day in Southern California and we're
Well,
just
we need the rain, so that's okay.
definitely I love it. It's just I think cuz I'm originally from Boston, so I like this weather.
And you like losing.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. Actually, I don't pay too much attention to that. Gary, my husband does, but I'm just much more involved in the jazz world, so I don't care.
Sure, sure. All you do is notes. You note everything.
Exactly. I do listen to people, you know, grousing, but
Oh, grousing. I'm a Brooklyn fan.
you are.
So I've been grousing since 1957, which is really pissy.
That is. Man, the Dodgers were driving my husband crazy this this season.
Well, we thought we would get there, but didn't work out.
Yeah. So Mark Lonow, this is really fun to speak with you. I don't often get to speak with people not in the jazz world. I usually, do musicians or somehow music related. But when I met you, it was so easy to talk to you, and you were so charming. How's that?
Charming? You're
Charming.
calling me charming?
I know.
Fuck
Does your wife
you.
like that? Yeah. And you're a friend of Dolores Kazezzi's, which how did you and Dolores get to be friends?
Through the improv. Dolores used to sing occasionally at the improv on Melrose.
Oh,
And I think also maybe in New York, where my wife and I used to do an act
yeah.
called Off the Wall. But that's a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure we met Dolores there, but we certainly met her at the Improv
Yeah.
here in LA.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so gosh, I was thinking about all the stuff we could talk about and well, first of all, I'd really like to know, well, for those, I mean, people have read the bio, or actually have they? Because I'm not sure if I posted your full bio on this yet. But I'm going to do that right now so people can really know who I'm speaking with, if you don't mind. Hold on one momento. But so Mark, and we'll get into this exactly, but you were basically the owner and the producer at the Improv in Hollywood. Is that correct?
Well, no, I started out in an improv group in New York at this improv, and
Oh,
we worked. We opened for Maynard Ferguson, we opened for
oh,
Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. We did club work. Then we moved here. I was an actor at
yeah,
that point in New York. Did some shows, did a lot of stock and regional theater. Um, then went to the clubs, then moved out here. And I was one of the stars of Husbands, Wives, and Lovers, a sitcom in 1980. No, 1977. 77.
yeah.
I did the movie Thank God It's Friday. I did The Last Married Couple in America. I was the father of the bride and the wedding singer. I did a whole bunch of at Charlie's Angels all through the 70s. Then this face lost favor because evening soap operas came on, and
Oh.
I found that my wife wants me to write a memoir called "There Are No Jews on Dynasty," and that's how I got into the nightclub business.
Wow. Hey, I wanted to show people what you looked like back then, so I brought up some images of you.
Yeah, there you go. That's a that's a few of me. Yeah, this is my Puerto Rican. That's there you go. That's me. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah, and this is a little broader picture of that. That's cool. And let's see. This one you kind of look like what's his name there?
Oh yeah, that one was I was a lawyer. I don't even remember the show. You know, I am one of those actors. I don't remember the show I was in. Um I don't remember.
Yeah, that's all right. You don't have to remember. That was a young you.
No, that's Paul Jabara.
Oh, look at
I'm not
that.
that
The battle
I'm
of the
not
lookalikes.
I'm not that gay. A little gay, but
How
not that
about
gay.
Charlie's Angels?
Yeah, I was yeah, that's me and Charlie's Angels. There you go.
Here you
Counterfeit
are.
Angels, I think it was called.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Here's
City
you.
Hall with Pacino.
I love this picture. And your
Yeah,
wife,
that's me. That's when we were a double act.
yeah, your wife looks familiar as well.
Yes, well, she was a stand-up comic, all by herself,
Uh,
alone.
yeah.
The front of that picture is very funny because my hand is down her blouse. It was a promo shot for the act, and so we're both laughing, and I am feeling her up, which is kind of funny. But they cut that off.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's funny. So, okay, so actually I would like to start from the beginning because I'd like to see how you got into this whole line of career. So, did you grow up in New York or where did you
I
grow up?
grew up in South Brooklyn.
Okay.
I wanted to be an actor all my life. Um, I lied about my age and I got into a teenage acting class when I was about 12. You had to be 13. But my mom lied for me and I was able to get into Ed Morehouse's Saturday morning class at HP Studio, Herbert Berghoff, Uta Hagen Studio. And I started every Saturday. I get on the subway and go into the village by myself,
Those
and
days we did. But wait,
at
what actually drove you to do that?
who the hell knows? I don't know. I got a bug in my head. I have no idea. My mom was very sick. I
Huh.
come from a very dysfunctional family, and my mom was in the hospital for a good portion of the first 11 years of my life. And so when she was out of the hospital, she would, try to make up for not being around. So she would take me and my brother to to Broadway shows.
Oh,
And so I began at a very early age, like at 8, 7, 8, going to see Broadway shows. I think the first show I saw was Finian's Rainbow,
oh yeah.
and I saw okay, the entire cast entering Victor Borga on
Well, that'll
Broadway.
change your life.
That'll change my life. And so I wanted to be a dancer, but
Huh?
here's the thing. And I am a really good dancer. And actually, I danced Harry Beaton in Brigadoon
Oh,
and Enoch Snow Jr. in Carousel. So I
oh,
did dance,
yeah,
but I never took dancing lessons.
yeah.
And I'm not sure, this was never solidified. Uh, I think my mom or my grandmother, who brought me up,
Yeah.
was afraid that if I became a dancer, I'd become a gay.
Huh.
So they would promise me I could go to dancing lessons. and it never quite happened.
Interesting.
But I was a ballroom dancer. I did,
Oh,
I danced in school. I danced in the shows when I got older. And so that kind of brought me to performing. And then my mom taking us to the theater brought me to acting. And then her signing me up at HB Studio brought me to learning what I was doing. And from there it went, when I
did
was
you?
about 15, 16, I began making rounds. I got my first job when I was 16. I was a senior. I'm trying to a senior in high school.
Yeah.
I got an apprentice job in Allenbury Playhouse in Pennsylvania, and you got your equity card in one season because the season ran from May to October. It was like a double season, and I had to get back to high school,
Oh,
so I couldn't get my equity card. So I then I left the show, the the stock company to go back and finish high school. So the next year, I auditioned for Gene Stapleton's husband, Bill Putch, at Totem Pole Playhouse, and we had not a lot of money. And Gene said to me, "You're really really good. So you'll come. It'll cost you $100 a week." So I said, "Excuse me? What do you mean? Isn't this a job?" She said, "Yeah, but it's an apprentice job." I said, "Well, thank you very much. I can't do this." And I left thinking, but by the time I got home, she had called the house and said, "We'll pay Mark $100." So I went, and that's how I got my equity card. And from there, I started to work,
wow.
did, stock dinner theaters, did a couple of off-Broadway shows and whatever. I
So
was
can I stop you for a second? So at
Yeah.
that time, at that time, so Jean Stapleton and her husband, they had a company, and so you were doing different
Oh,
parts?
they had, I mean, they're both passed now. They had a very famous stock company called Totem Pole Playhouse
Oh,
in Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania, I think. I know it was in Caledonia State Park.
yeah.
She was in I Can Get It For You Wholesale or How to Succeed, because when I auditioned at the Winter Garden. It was me and Gene in the Winter Garden Theater.
Wow.
I'm 16 and a half years old, looking out, going, oh, look at this. And so then, and what I wound up doing was I wound up performing. I wound up babysitting for their kids. That's how she wound up paying me. So I would babysit for their kids, not that often. They were great kids. And I did some off theater carpentry and construction work.
Wow.
And that's how I did it. And then once I got my equity card, you know, then I did oh man, Bolton Hill Dinner Theater. I'm not going to remember. I did about before I came to Hollywood. I had already done about 50 or 60 shows.
Yeah.
You know.
And so those shows, they were mostly in New York State. Is that what it was?
Yeah, well,
New York.
the ones there were a lot of them in New York State, but they were in the surrounding areas also.
Yeah.
They were in Baltimore. I did Center Stage in Baltimore. It's a regional theater. I did Pennsylvania, a few stock companies in Pennsylvania. It was in well, the quintuple state area.
Yeah.
New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and so on. Not that far. Washington also.
That
DC.
to me, imagining that, it feels really rich. I mean, it just like, wow, just being like actually working in all those theaters and all the different plays with all these actors. I mean, I know we're always in the moment. So while we're doing it, we may think different things, but looking back, it seems very rich.
It's very colorful, I would say. For instance, I got a job on a boat the theater was on a boat in the Hudson River. So we rehearsed, and the show got up. And the problem was, and no one thought of this, is that every time a boat went up the river, our boat, which was the theater, would rock. And so you're standing on stage going, to be or not to be. Hang on, hang on, hang on. I'm moving. I didn't mean to move. So yes, there was great experiences. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Not to mention, I'm sure there were boats like honking their horns or something too, right?
Yes, there was a lot of. Well, we were evening, so they restrict boats in New York City in the evening. So it was, yes, they were, but very few. But
Yeah.
the rocking, a lot.
I can relate to that actually. I had a job like that too, but not speaking my parts, singing. But that was hard enough out on the sea. Yeah. So after you did that, that's when you moved to New York, and how old were you?
I moved. No, I moved out of the house when I was 18,
Uh-huh.
about
Yeah.
maybe 19, and I moved into the village with two friends of mine, Garland Jeffries. You know the musician Garland Jeffries.
I
Uh,
don't.
well, he is a musician, very big in Japan,
Oh,
and the writer director Phil Messina. So the three of us moved to Fifth Street in Alphabet City, if you know what that is,
yeah.
between A and B.
Yeah.
And that was my first apartment. And then I got an apartment right across from HB Studio. HB was 120 Bank Street. My apartment was 119 Bank Street, literally, because I was at the studio so often. And then while I was there, I landed a job in. Oh, that's a funny story. I landed a job in Elaine May's a play Elaine May wrote called Name of a Soup, and so I performed that. I also was stage managed for a show that went off Broadway called Undercover Man, and I wound up being forming a production company. Now I'm like 20 years old, 21, with the lead Robert Elston. So we had Romar Productions, and so we did Undercover Man, and both of those have very funny endings. We got decent reviews for Undercover Man, and we really thought we would run, at least to get our money back. Not my money, I didn't have any, but the money I raised from
Yeah.
people. And we had the Actors Playhouse on 7th Avenue, and we got nice reviews, okay reviews from the New York Times, and we were selling okay tickets. No big
Yeah.
hit, no great thing. However, in the second week of the run, New York got hit with the worst heat wave in recorded history. It was,
Oh,
it was 100 degrees, 90 every day, and our theater didn't have an air conditioner.
oh God.
And it was a famous theater. It
Yeah.
had perfect acoustics. Even when we walked in for first rehearsal, talking in the dark, hey, where's the light? Hey, hey guys, we don't have to mic any. This is a great theater, except it didn't have air conditioning. So that one wiped out. And
Oh.
and Name of a Soup,
Oh.
name of a Soup was a very interesting play that Elaine came up with the idea. She was having a conversation with a girlfriend of hers.
Yeah.
And they were talking about bad relationships with men. And one of them said, yeah, well, every once in a while, the man turns into a Martian. They come out, they're the perfect man, and then they're a Martian. So she wrote a play in which it's a perfect romance for acts 1, 2, and halfway through 3. And at the end of act 3, she wants to take him to bed with her. And she says, I don't remember the character's name. Let's just get intimate. And he says, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And she says, why not? What, we have such a perfect, warm and loving relationship. I'd like to consummate it. And he says, Because I'm a Martian. Okay, so that's already a little crazy. So I'm the next door neighbor. I'm the teenage next door neighbor, and it was a small theater. It was next to the HB studio, and my exit into my house after my last scene is no exit off the stage. I have to sit there until final curtain, take my curtain call, and leave so I can get out of, go eat. So I sat there from the end of Act 2 all through Act 3. And Elaine had a penchant for overwriting. So we're talking, it was almost a 200-page script. It went on for 3.5 hours. So in the middle of and I'm in the back, and I can just kind of barely look through. I'm in the back, and people are starting to get angry. And I'm looking at my watch, and I'm going, holy mackerel, they didn't cut it. They didn't cut it. We're into 3 hours. This is not good. And you hear mumbling. And as he gets to the thing, I'm a Martian, people started throwing their playbills onto the stage. Boo! It was a disaster.
Wow.
Yeah. So those are my first two.
No, wait, is that the one that was called something about soup?
Yeah, name of a soup. Because she named the lead character Madeleine.
Huh.
And, there's a consommé de Madeleine. It's a French soup. And so she called it, but the lead character was Madeleine, so it was called Name of a Soup. It had Judd Hirsch, Dora Landy Linenthal, Jess Osuna, Bill Hickey directed it. There were names in this play.
Yeah.
And it just went on forever.
God, I can't imagine.
Another story. Here's another funny story. So I'm in stock.
Yeah.
And my mom comes out and she says, Mark, you got out of high school, but you got to go to college. I said, Mom, I don't need college. I'm an actor. She said, no, you have to go to college. My mom is out of the hospital now. Well, I can't, because I can't register. My season ends in the middle of September. I have to register by September 1st. There's no way. I'm not leaving the show to go register for a school I don't want to go to. She said, I'll register for you. So, you're sitting there. I'm 19 years old. Okay, register for me. Sure enough, she registers. I show up 2 weeks late. I missed the first 2 classes. I was on the road. I walk in, and there's a seat right in the front of the class. So I sneak in and I sit down, and the professor goes, first of all, the professor was stoned. I was stoned, and I knew he was stoned because he looked at me. I looked at him. We both knew he was stoned. So he said, Mr. Lonow. Yes, sir. So how was stock? Stock was good. How do you know I'm in stock? He says, well, because your mother told me. My mother told you? Well, how do you know my mother? And he says, because she's in the class. I go, what? And he says, she's sitting in the back row on the left. And I turned around, and my mother registered me and registered herself. So when I said, at that moment, I said, I don't think.
We have a little technical glitch here. Yeah. So Mark, there you go. You're back.
Oh, wait, you know something?
Yeah.
I think. Okay, well, we're not going to change it now. Yes, my internet just came back on. But we're not changing it. We'll continue with this because I don't want to screw it. Anyway, so you heard, I don't know if it froze, but you heard the end of my story.
No, you froze right before the end. You said you knew your mother was in the class. Then
I said, I won't be continuing much longer with this college career. How can you go to college? You're 19 with your mother. A little too much responsibility.
Did she continue the class?
Oh yeah, my mother continued the yeah, yeah. My mother was a great lady.
Yeah,
She really was. You know,
yeah.
she was in and out of hospitals, but she lived to 86.
Oh,
You know, so she was a very cool lady.
yeah.
So anyway, so
So,
that's how I got into show business.
yeah. Now,
And then
when did you come to LA?
I came to LA. Madeline Kahn was a friend of ours, and she was doing Young Frankenstein. And she said, I'm going out to shoot this movie with Mel Brooks. My wife and I like to travel a lot. And she said, well, if you guys come out to LA, we'll hang out a little bit. Maybe you can feel yourself around and meet some people. I go, oh, yeah, great. So we checked with our agent, and he said, yeah, I have a co-agent in California, Dade Rosen. Go out and see if you get some work, and maybe you'll pay for the vacation. Okay, great. So yes, I meet Mike. Okay. He says, you want to go out on a job? Yeah. Next day I go out, I go up for a thing called Spencer's Pilot, and I get it. Right now I've just
Oh,
had gotten my first TV show. Okay, now let me back up a little bit. In my off time in New York, when I wasn't acting, I worked at a nightclub called Pips in Sheepshead Bay, which wasn't far from my house. Again, with Garland and with Phil. We ran the club. And
uh-huh.
George was best friends with Rodney Dangerfield.
Huh.
And George was an ex stand up. So a lot of famous comics would come and work out their sets at Pips. So we got to meet them. And in came Joan Rivers in 1970, I guess it was 77. Yeah, I went out in 78, maybe even before that. No, no, no. No, way before that. Sorry.
Oh,
1968. 60.
okay.
Okay, so Joan is just starting her act. And I meet Joan Rivers. I'm waiting tables. Okay.
Yeah,
So now quick quick forward. And I see her every day or every weekend, during she's breaking in the set for 6, 8 weeks.
yeah,
So I knew Edgar, I knew Joan, everybody's friends. I know Rodney. Okay.
yeah.
So now we go quick forward, and I'm in Hollywood. I meet Mike Rosen. I go up for Spencer's Pilot. I get the show. Another show comes across his desk, and it's a thing called Husbands, Wives, and Lovers. And it's the story of three couples in a cul-de-sac, blah, 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 blah. Mike says, you want to go up for this? Yeah, yeah, I'll go up for anything. I get the script. It's by Joan Rivers and Hal Dresner. Oh my God. Okay. So now I go, well, I don't really know Joan that well. I mean, I was just a waiter. But it'll be nice, it'll make it more comfortable. I'm scared out of my mind. I'm gonna meet, and this is for one of the stars of the show. So I mean, fear was rampant. I'm sitting in the lobby of CBS, and who walks in? I'm going over the script, and I'm looking, and in comes Joan. She walks right by me. She looks over and she walks right by me, makes a turn. So I go, okay, she doesn't remember who you are. No big deal. 2 seconds later, she pops her head around. Mark? Is that you, Mark? Oh, hey, Joan. What are you doing here? Well, I'm reading for your show. You're an actor? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. She goes back, comes back. She said, are you good? I go, yeah. Okay. She disappears. They call everybody in the lobby. Everybody. I was one of the first to be there. Mark, come in. I walk in there, about 4 or 5 people behind the desk. It's Joan, it's Hal, a few other people. Okay. I read the first scene. I don't get a laugh. And I'm going, this is seriously not good. Oh, can you read the second scene, the handmaiden? I get a couple of titters. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Joan. I walk out, I go, oh, man. Okay, all right. It's not a big deal. Go home, blow your brains out. put them together, come back and get another job. I'm exiting the building. Joan sticks her head out the door of the office and goes, "You got the job. See you Monday." Closes the door. And I am on Husbands, Wives, and Lovers. So
Wow.
that is how I began a serious career in Hollywood.
Wow.
And then I auditioned for
Who was your wife
what?
in the show?
No, my wife wasn't in the show. My wife was doing stand-up.
No, I mean, were you a married part of a married couple in the show?
Oh yeah, I've been married for 53 years.
Yeah, and who was the wife?
Oh, in the show was Randy Heller.
Okay.
And they tried to do a spin-off with us, with Eddie Barth, called Brothers.
Oh.
And CBS didn't pick it up because what happened was, here's another very odd piece of show business history.
Yeah.
Husbands, Wives, and Lovers was a full hour comedy. It's the first sitcom that ran an hour.
Oh.
And we got pretty decent numbers. We didn't get enough to be a long-running show, but we got pretty decent numbers. Okay, the man who created Knots Landing
Yeah.
also created Dallas. And Knots Landing was about several couples in a cul-de-sac.
Oh.
But they didn't want it in 1972 or whenever he first wrote it.
Yeah.
But he then writes Dallas, and it becomes this huge hit.
Yeah.
He sees Husbands, Wives, and Lovers, and he says, I think I can pitch Knots Landing again. He goes in and he pitches Knots Landing, and they buy it. He gets Knots Landing's idea from Husbands, Wives, and Lovers. I am on Husbands, Wives, and Lovers. My agent comes to me and says, they're looking for a young girl. Claudia, my stepdaughter, wants to be an actress. The competition's very sparse. Now's the time for her to try. She goes up for Knots Landing and gets the part of Diana Fairgate, Michelle Lee's daughter, on Knots Landing.
Oh, wow.
We get shut down. We get canceled. Our show gets canceled. Claudia's show runs 11 years. So my daughter, who got a show, spin-off kind of, from my failed sitcom, winds up on her first TV show that ran 11 years.
Wow.
I beat her to an inch of her life.
Wow, isn't that just really wow? It's just amazing. Amazing.
So
Yeah.
that's how you ask me how I spin yarns. They're all true. So that's how I got into show business.
Yeah.
And I've been there ever since.
Yeah.
And then also what happened was in the late 70s, ethnic faces, the New York, the John Travoltas, the Welcome Back Cotters, all started to lose their appeal, and in came the nighttime soap operas, which were Knots Landing, Dallas, all of those, and they took over. So I started not working, from working pretty much constantly to not working at all. And I had a relationship with Chris Albrecht, who was the manager reason for the New York Improv success. I worked for Chris as off the wall because he managed the club. And Bud then out here divorced his wife and gave his wife the New York club. Chris couldn't get along with Silver, was her name. He calls me a week after Silver arrived in New York and said, "Mark, this club is going down. Let's you and I buy out Bud, because he's not going to be able to stay open without the money that New York is giving him." So we went to the negotiation, but Bud came to me and said, "I don't want to be Chris's partner. I want to be your partner," because I was Chris's partner. And it's a little more complicated than that. But anyway, I became Bud's partner in late 1979, early 1980. And I'm the person who reconfigured the Melrose Club. I redesigned it. I put sliding glass doors in the front. I put skylights in. I made it bright. I made it airy. Anyway, and it went from one club to 26 clubs.
So were you guys in control of the 26 clubs, or they were?
Yes, they were licenses.
Yeah, I see.
They were licenses, but we controlled the booking for a long. It's a very long and intricate relationship I had with Bud.
Yeah.
Not all pleasant, but we had, until Bud didn't want to take the responsibility of booking all those clubs, we booked them out of Melrose. We had a wonderful booker, Deborah Sartell, wonderful booker, and we did it. We in that configuration, it only went to 18 clubs, and then there was a contraction, and business cycles.
Yeah, and that lasted 40 years for you, right?
For me, it lasted 40 years. It's a did it pass 63? No, I think in 2023 it will be 60 years old. It was the first stand-up comedy club in the world.
Wow.
1963 it opened. So I became Bud's partner in 79.
Yeah.
So we did the 40th anniversary and we did the 50th anniversary. I think we're approaching the 60th anniversary, but we don't own it anymore.
Okay. So you stepped out. When did you step out?
About 2.5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
It's still, it's still our configuration. It's still our name.
Yeah.
We did the television show An Evening at the Improv. We ran 11 years. That was after I got there. I got there 70, 79, 80. The first Evening at the Improv, I believe, was 81. We did one season of 52 because it was a syndicated show with a Canadian partner. It went kind of belly up. He didn't want to put any more money into it. And then we got another partner and we went to A&E and stayed for 10 years. So we were on A&E for 10 years and we were on, I think it was ABC for 1 year.
Wow.
So there
wow, long time, man. Wow, to do that. Interesting.
Yes, a long time. And stories. I'm writing, actually, I'm in the middle of writing a memoir now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's called The Story of Mark.
Kind of like the Bible. Oh, that should be an interesting book.
Oh, yeah. And some of the people are going to be shocked because a lot of it is truth.
Yeah.
I'm calling it a novel memoir because I've altered the timeline so I could make a story out of it.
Yeah.
But the story is, well, it's the story of a man named Mark, me.
Yeah.
And what happens is factual, but in the order it happens, not so factual. I move this story here and that story there, so that I can have a logical sequence of events that takes you from, acid trips in the 60s to explosive growth in the 80s. Yeah. Anyway.
When do you expect to be finished?
Well, I'm actually, you are very a serious person in my life because I stopped writing. I write every day. I do 5 hours every day. And you were inserted in my writing. I'm about 60% through the first polish of the first draft. So I have, after I finish this polish, I will have another polish. So I figure mid-January, it'll go to an editor who I will hire. Then it will go to my agent.
Yeah. Yeah, man, polishing and editing. Whew. I'm writing, yes. I've written a very small kind of booklet almost on my philosophy. And yeah, I was really intrigued by the editing process, going over it and thinking that I was done, And then revisiting and going, well, why did I say that there? Or that's like out of order, or I already said that in a different way. So yeah, I don't even know if
And
I'm done now, but I feel like I'm done.
yeah, thank God for computers, because you can go back and check relatively easily. Can
Yeah.
you imagine when they wrote novels with pen and ink or quill, and they had to go back and find the page and remember that they said this and what they said about this and what the oh man, because I'm always doing that. And one of the polishes is, didn't I say that earlier? Because this is now running 819 pages.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is, I'm on page like four. No, I'm on page 523. So that's what I'm saying. I'm 60% through. So you have to really remember what you said and how you said it, and whether or not you introduced this character. And,
Yeah.
and I changed some names. I changed, and you go, well, what did I call
Yeah.
him? That's not his name.
Right.
Is that his name? What's his name? Yeah, it's a trip.
Now, does it take, I'm curious because this is what happens to me, but with that amount of pages, I can imagine. Well, anyway, my question is for me, every time I would start editing, I felt like I had to start from the beginning again because to get the frame, my mind into the creative process of the real story of what I was saying. Do you start from the beginning again, or because you're doing it every?
Well, not well. When in the edit, I start from page one, yes, but not every day.
Yeah.
I What I do is I leave notes for myself
Ah.
as I'm writing. I'm using what am I using? Anyway, I'm using an app that allows you to leave notes on the side, or I will put in red capital letters,
Yeah.
insert, blah, blah, whatever it is, so that I leave notes for myself as I'm writing. If
Yeah.
oh, that's a great thing to go here, but I'm not sure I can get it here. I put a note in. So then when I go back, I I start from page, but I go back to the beginning and I go all the way through to the end, picking up all the notes and then adding them or not adding them or moving them into a different place as I go along.
Yeah.
Then I go back again. But each time I start, I continue all the way through. Because if not, it's suicide time.
Yeah.
Because then you really don't remember, did I say that? I remember typing that, but when? You have to keep it in order as you go through it. Because if you keep going back, then you don't remember what you did. And I don't have that great a memory anyway. So I would, I would forget how to spell the word is, in the middle of that.
I understand. Sometimes I forget my husband's name. I once
I
introduced
forget my husband's name.
I introduced him once and I literally forgot his name and I looked at him and he knew that I was forgetting his name. He was funny. He just said, Gary. I'm like, oh yeah, Gary. It's my husband. Yeah. Oh God. Man. Yeah, well, I can really, wow, I can imagine how that must be. But I mean, you really have to just know that the process is what you're getting enjoyment out of. And, yes, of course you want to finish the project, but the process is important, right?
Yeah, but I'm also, I think I've become a little addicted to writing because
Mm,
I get off on it. I get into these, it's like an acid trip. I
yeah.
begin living in the words and pictorializing what I'm writing. So when I go into a new room or a nightclub, and I then describe it, and it's really like it's an acid trip. And I am in it. I am there, and I'm literally only writing down what the movie I'm seeing in my head.
Mm.
That's it. And then I will talk to people, and what I say to them and what I think they say to me is what I write down. I'll go back and, change it, edit it, make it more sensical, because sometimes you go, who wrote that? What does that mean? That kind, because it comes out, because in your head it's perfect,
Yeah.
genius, even brilliant. You're an Einstein of the written word, and the next day you go, "What idiot
What
wrote
shit is
this?"
that? Yeah.
Yeah, what this is. So yeah, I'm into that a lot.
Have you discovered, see, for me, this particular thing that I'm mentioning is very commonplace, and I would imagine for you too, being a jazz artist, being a comedian, especially, or an actor. But have you found that in writing, the best thing is just to write, from what you just described, and then go back and change whatever. But if you stop the process of writing, then you're kind of screwed.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And and one of the things is to get into it every day is a thing, because there is a series of procrastinations that happens every time. And you just have to do it. I look at news, or I'll check an app, or I'll do some, and then okay, now I'm there. I'm there, and then you get into it. But yeah, there is a whole system of craziness. My daughter left after she left Knots Landing. Not that she wasn't fired or anything, but she got too old to play Michelle Lee's daughter, because she was on the show for 7 years.
Uh-huh.
So she and became a writer, and a very successful one.
Yeah.
So she writes sitcoms now,
Oh, cool.
and she's really good. So, and she has the same problems. To get into it every day is a thing.
Yeah.
And it's famous. All writers are procrastinators. There's a funny story of Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner. They worked for, I think it was Warner Brothers, and they would have that in the morning. And what are we doing today, Carl? I don't know, Mel. What are we doing today? And one of the Warner Brothers would walk around and listen to hear if the typewriters were typing. And they realized that when they weren't typing, the Warner Brother would walk in. I don't know what his name is, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd have to, no, we're talking, we're trying to think. They hired a kid to sit and type. So when he walked by the door, he'd hear them typing.
That's
and
funny.
then they could do whatever they want. I think that's a true story. Is that wild? Yeah.
That's a great story. I read Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the one who wrote Eat, Pray, and Love. And
Yes.
she wrote this book called Big Magic after Eat, Pray, and Love. And it was a great book. Basically, to me, it kind of gave the reader permission to be creative. And she said in the book, when she was very young and decided she wanted to write, she made a commitment to herself that she would write every day, forever. And so she realized as she was writing books that every time she would start a book, she'd be really excited for a while, and then she would hate it and want to stop. She'd go through this. And then, but because she had promised herself she would write every day, the next day, that was over. So she realized every time she started a book, it was fine when she got there, because she knew it was just like part of the process,
Absolutely. It's definitely, because that's what my daughter just left. She had an overall with, oh boy. She had an overall, a very big overall. And for years.
Yeah.
And every day she would get to a point, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. So finally, she's left. She's now independent, and every day she goes right back into doing it. And she's now got a pitch, because her agent set up a pitch. I think she has 3 pitches in one day, and
Oh, wow.
5 in that week.
Wow.
And I went, I thought you were retired. I thought you weren't doing this anymore. Well, I couldn't help it. He came up with the idea. It wasn't my idea. I'm doing the form and the writing. He's the guy with the brain. Oh, really? Okay, whatever.
It's it's a really great process. It's, I think I think if, quote unquote, regular people really see and understand this process. It's very helpful in their lives, because, well, actually, my little philosophy book is basically about how the same lesson applies to life, voice technique, and singing jazz. Now, those are only three areas that I know about well, but it's like that for everything. It's this, these lessons in life are seen through the same eyes everywhere you look, So, yeah, I think it's a very amazing gift that we're capable of giving people,
Without question. Yeah, it's also fun after a while. I actually like it looking back.
Yeah.
There are days when
You don't like it.
please let me free from this. But yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Dolores is here. She said she loves you and misses you and JoAnne.
Well, thank you. Same back, Dolores. You should have come to the basketball game, Dolores. John had fun.
I love Dolores.
Is Dolores watching us now? Are we live?
Yes, we are live, and she is watching us now.
It's just us? You, me, and Dolores?
No, actually, there's a bunch of people on camera, but she's the only one. Well, she's one of the only ones who made a comment. I have a friend, Dan Davila, and he's very nice. He always lists the all music credits. So now it says you have songs and an album. Let me just see. Is this the same you? Executive producer, Kathleen Madigan and Louis Black?
Well, my wife and I managed them.
Oh, well, I
quite
guess
a long
that's
time.
you. Say that again?
Yeah. We managed Lou for about 15 years, and we managed Kathleen for a short time, couple years.
Oh, cool. Are they and they're musicians?
No. They're stand-up comics.
Oh, okay. So they made records apparently.
Oh yeah, Louis won Grammy Best Comedy Album of the Year.
Oh, okay.
When we managed him.
Yeah. So your wife has been a stand-up comedian?
A stand-up comic.
Ever?
She co-authored a play with me, which we produced here in Hollywood, and she's managed people as a manager for quite a few years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You guys have been together a long time, right?
56 years.
Goes by like that. Wow, 56 years. Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a long time. We were children.
You were children because you're not very old right now, I can tell.
Yes, absolutely. And she isn't either. She's actually less old than I am. If I said anything different, I wouldn't be walking.
Yeah, my husband always says happy wife, happy life.
Yes, absolutely.
He says a lot of things that I don't even know. I've never heard stuff like that, I don't know where I grew up or where I was from, but I never heard stuff like that. Happy wife, happy life. Maybe
happy wife, happy life. That's said all over the place. Yes.
I guess my parents didn't really deal in that. I don't know.
Well, maybe
my father didn't care so much. Yeah. So let's see. I noticed. Well, I mean, yeah. There's so many people. I'm sure you have so many billions of stories, and as you said, you're writing a book. But I noticed that there are a lot of comedians who appeared at the Improv who went on to develop, like Bill Maher, went on to develop speaking and shows. Dennis Miller, there was Joe Rogan, and I don't know Mark David Moran, but
there was a time in when I was at the club, 1979, 80, 81, 82, when almost every single successful stand-up comedy comic in the United States started or worked at the improvisation. I think that's a pretty basically true story. Of course, there are scattered here and there that didn't, but most major comics And a lot of the old timers would come in. Everybody from Phil Foster to Milton Berle to Jerry Lewis just dropped in. A lot of them hosted an evening at the Improv. Rodney was there all the time. Phyllis Diller. Well, obviously Joan Rivers. There was a months when Joan actually did a night every Wednesday, I think it was, at the Improv. And
Wow.
so, yeah, the Improv was the birthplace of American stand-up to a great extent. I mean, stand-ups always did open for acts. As I said, even JoAnne and I in Off the Wall, we opened for Maynard Ferguson. We opened for Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. We worked the bottom line. There were rooms we worked, and the alteration was that once the Improv opened, the comics had a place to be comics. They didn't have to open for a music act. And once an evening at the Improv became a hit, they got big enough to headline them.
Froze a little bit here. Yeah. Dolores is mentioning names that I read online. Robin Williams, Jay Leno, Larry David. Yeah. And like Mark is saying, just on and on and on. I mean, can you imagine 40 years of that? And especially in that time period. Amazing. It might be the rain here. Los Angeles is so unused to rain. Oh, it's really raining. It's so lovely. I heard a sound. It was like, what's that sound? And yeah, it's just beautiful. Oh, I happen to be doing work in my yard this week. And so Dolores, Jerry Seinfeld too, and you sang. And Dolores, when are you going to be on this show? I want you to be on the show, okay? It would be fun. So I'm still waiting for Mark. His internet was down, but he there he is. Hello.
We're back. I don't know where you are. Hold on.
You are back.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know. It was probably LA freaking out over the rain.
Wow. Okay. I'm here again.
It's raining.
Yeah. So
I forget
you
where
have any more questions for me?
Yeah, a few.
All right.
Yeah, Dolores was saying she sang when like Jerry Seinfeld was there and
Yeah, Jerry was. Yeah, I mean they were all at some point. Adam. I mean, I don't remember who wasn't there.
yeah.
Belushi was sitting at our round table the night he died. He went from
Really?
our round table up to Sunset and boop, gone. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Who is I mean, it's not like you can and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you can't say who your favorite comedian was, right? Oh, he froze again. Damn.
There you are. You're
Okay.
back.
I was saying I seriously doubt you can say who your favorite comic was, but
I can't do that.
did you have
My wife.
Oh, happy wife, happy life. Okay, so that was really good. But were there some unbelievable moments that you could recall a few that were just top of the world moments?
Well, we had some crazy moments. Andy Kaufman charged $1 for people to come on stage with him. Oh, yeah, that's another one. And touch his boil.
Whoa.
Andy Kaufman. It's okay.
That is Andy Kaufman. Woo.
He used to wrestle a woman on stage. You know that part of the act.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
he played this very macho guy, and it was a stunt. And a woman would come up and beat the shit out of him, and
Right,
okay, so then
right.
he'd give her $1 or whatever. And one night the woman doesn't show. So we're sitting in the club, and Andy's going to go on. And so Bob Zamuda, Andy's manager, comes over and says, "Mark, you think JoAnne would be the woman?" And I go, "I don't know. My wife doesn't. Well, she's a comic. Oh, okay, whatever. All right." So they go upstairs to rehearse, and he says, "I'll do this and you do that." And then he says, "Grab my hair," and you pull my hair, and blah, blah, blah. So she does it. And then he goes over to Zamuda, and then Zamuda goes over to JoAnne and goes, "JoAnne, uh, Andy would prefer it if you really pull his hair." And she goes, "Bob, I pulled his hair. This is make believe." "Yeah, I know, but Andy would really like you to, really pull his hair." And she said, "Oh, okay." "I'm not really into that, but we'll play the game." So, they were very strange moments. Uh, and then we had some great moments. We had Robin and Whoopi and Billy Crystal do a charity from the stage, and they were there the whole night. Just really tremendous,
Wow.
tremendous night. Um, uh, Bruce Willis went on stage. I think he went on to MC, and he was terrified. And he asked me to stand off stage while he went on to MC this charity event. And it was like hand holding. But he and his friend Bruce DiMattia taught me to ski. And so they dragged me up to I think it was a Bear Mountain, or Big Bear. Anyway, and I go, "Where are we going, fellas?" "Oh, we're going skiing." "Oh, wait. Hey, I don't ski." "What do you mean?" "Yeah, yeah, you ski." "No, I don't ski. You don't understand. I'm a Jew. I come from Brooklyn. I've never even seen a ski hill." You'll ski, you'll ski." So we go, and they take me to the ski shop. We rent skis. And I'm going, "Okay, guys, okay, here's what you do." And they show me, this is how you snow plow. All right. I show it. "We'll be back in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Sure enough, they go off, they go skiing, come back 20 minutes later. "Let me see you ski." "Good, good, that's good. Okay, so here's how you turn. You see, lean on heavier on your left foot. Okay, you turn right. And then your right foot, you turn left. Let's see. Good, good, good. We'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, I go, come back. Okay, so now if you get into trouble, just sit down. Just sit down, put your ass on the ground, and it'll stop you. Don't try to stop with your skis, because if you catch something, you can break your leg. Just sit there. Okay, now do that. Okay, let's go. Where are we going? "We're going to the top of the mountain." "What are you talking about? We're going to the top of the mountain." "We're not going to the top of the mountain." "Oh, yeah, we're going to the top of the mountain, Mark." Okay. And they take me to the chairlift, one on one side, one on the other, and they sit me in the never skied. Go all the way to the top of the mountain. We get off. Willis is standing with me. DiMattia goes down 50 yards, whatever. And he said, "You're going to start going down this hill, and I am going to tell you what to do. When we get to DiMattia, he will take over. I will go down 50 yards, and he will tell you what to do. And then we'll switch on and off all the way down the hill." Okay. And sure enough, okay, you're going to lean left, you're going to turn right, you're going to. By the time we got to the bottom of the hill, I knew how to ski. And
Wow.
I've skied to this day.
Wow. Very
Yep.
impressive.
Now, if you talk to Bruce Willis, he doesn't know who I am. But that's another story.
God. Oh man. Well, I
Yeah.
have I
Anyway,
have a I have a YouTube moment with you and your wife. Love is Deaf. Do you know what
Oh
the?
my God. Okay. So I have, as I said, I come from a very dysfunctional family. I
Yeah.
have a half brother. Oh, come on, guys. Seriously? Are you still there? Establish the fact that we decided to
Wait a
go for
minute. Sorry.
50.
Okay, go ahead and talk.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so I have a half brother who I saw a couple of times growing up because he was born in not in Ohio, and he's a drummer. He was the drummer for Poco. He was Johnny Cash and Lynn Carter Cash's drummer. He was, he's a relatively well-known drummer.
Yeah.
And so well, now it's 10, 12 years ago, his son gets in touch with me and he says, your brother is celebrating his 65th birthday, and he doesn't think you'd show up if we invited you. And so, my wife and I have this long conversation and we decide to go. And I don't speak to my full brother. I haven't spoken to him forever. But Rick Lonow, I met him, this is now 10, 12 years ago, and I Zoom with him every week.
Wow.
He has become my brother. So this Love is Deaf. He has two friends. This is a club in Nashville, and they would throw a St. Valentine's Day party every year, and all of their musician friends would play the room for this party. However, they couldn't play the instrument they do professionally. They could do anything else, play another instrument, they could sing, and sometimes it works out really well. And sometimes it's horrible. And therefore, it's called Love is Deaf, DEAF. And so they would play. And one year we go and they go, do your act. And this was not our act, but we got up and we played around in front of, this is a pretty full house of people who were all musicians, basically. So now you can play it. I haven't seen this in years.
Okay.
And we've decided to do that by stopping conversation between the two of us. So we're no longer going to talk to each other, which should keep us from fighting.
Yes, because as you all know, because you people really do know, in Los Angeles, being married this long is a miracle. In Nashville,
well, with the new mayor,
it's a felony.
Right.
And the mayor is someone we love, but God bless her.
She's fooling around.
We don't know what's going to happen to her, and I hope you're on her side.
I got a feeling I do know what's going to happen to her, and I hope she enjoys it. But seriously. Wait. What? Okay, so...
You can heckle us, by the way. Feel free
you want to tell them
call
why?
things. I want to reintroduce ourselves to you, because, by the way, this is all Anna and Michael's fault.
It is.
We were here 3 years ago, and we've been performers all our life, and blah, 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 blah. And we looked at each other and got up, and now we've been asked to do America's Got Talent.
That's... Whoa, wait. That laugh was a little too big. Thank you.
We're actually filming now, just sharing secrets of, how you stay married for such a long time. And anyway, I want to reintroduce my husband to you. In the Hebraic tradition, he is known as a Malka Movitz.
No. It's the Malcha.
Oh.
Malcha. It's a language of phlegm. It's the Malka-Moritz.
Malka-Moritz, which is the angel of death,
Thank you.
doom, and reality.
Well, that makes our marriage sail. And so anyway, and you,
I am the Joan of Arc of our relationship. I am eternally optimistic. I think that humanity can be saved by love and meddling.
and you know what they did to Joan of Arc? They burnt her at the stake because she was annoying.
Yeah, and that is true. I am annoying. And
Well,
so are you.
that's not fair. I am not annoying. I'm the man. You see how easily I can get the audience to turn.
Hashtag me too.
So, but you know what we say each night. We.
Well, no, we're here because actually this thing is kind of taken off, really, and so we've started to think about, wow,
We got books.
we have a book that we're writing right now called "The Power of Aging."
Or How to Manipulate the Young. It's the subtitle.
Because conning the young is what we do.
You know how easy that is?
It's so delightful. You go into a restaurant, Bailey, oh, honey, are you here?
She's waving. She doesn't want to talk.
Bailey, darling, remember we had said, oh, I don't know, I'm not feeling too well. Could I have my Tennessee mash brought to me?
She's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. She's too far
when you're
away.
growing
This
older,
isn't going to work.
and if you add the word fuck, they worship you.
See, you're going too far.
They can't believe
You're going too
that
far.
they are seeing.
We doing a TED Talk now?
We are. No, we have been asked to shut up by Ted.
Well, he actually yelled out loud. It was no longer a talk, it was a scream. Shut up.
You're right. That's true. And then the other project that we really
Well,
believe in, the guide to stay married as long as we have.
Riz, saying 3 little words?
Yes. I love you.
Yes, I know. Tell you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's only
See what I'm
because
calling?
Anna wants to
I'm
be
telling
called
you,
young.
don't get afraid of getting.
I went for it.
And then if it's been a really difficult day, we say
2 little words.
community property.
And
And then,
well, and then if it really works out, I ask for a BJ.
and we always say that.
I got that? Whoa! Okay, we're in the wrong
You
place.
people are too conservative for us. You're musicians now. No, because we, and
Southern musicians don't like BJs? What are we talking about? Thank you. That needed a woo.
yeah.
All right. Where are we going?
Where are we
here?
going with this?
I have no idea.
And this is what we do. This is what, how many of you are married?
Yeah, a lot of them.
You know what this is all about, right? No one knows what,
We have to get off
do we really?
at some point.
At some point.
Yeah, because we don't really have an act, Joe. Have you noticed? This is just fucking
And
around.
that's why they asked us to do America's Got Talent. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's right.
But we really love you, and we really, actually, this has been such a incredible experience, just
For her, for me, just so-so. For Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
That was Nashville. That was 12 years ago or something. Who
Really?
knows? Yeah. Yeah, we just got up that we were winging that.
Yeah.
That was not written,
Well,
which was obvious.
yeah, that was that was pretty obvious, but
Yeah.
still fun. Improv, right?
Yeah, we just got up and talked.
Yeah.
I think that was the second time we did it, and we didn't really expect them to ask us. And we looked at each other, okay, here we go. So anyway, it was okay. It was acceptable.
See, it's fun. It's just fun to do that. I actually have a vocal improv group, a cappella, called Fish to Birds. Sometimes we've added musicians, but usually it's a cappella. We've been together about 8 years. Haven't done it since the pandemic, really. But it's so much fun. We could just get up anywhere and start creating. And it's sometimes you bomb, and then sometimes it's just absolutely incredible,
Yes, the thing with, I think it may be the same for musicians, but when you're bombing without music behind you, and it's just you and a mic,
Oh, yeah.
that is seriously painful.
Yeah.
And because when we got up there, I remember that, we were both looking at each other like, we're really seriously stupid to do this. Because the first time we did it, we kind of had a sketch where we were going to go, and you'll say this, I'll say that, and this time we just got up, and there were and also that recording isn't that good. So when we're looking at each other, we're really saying, you want to say something? I'm out. I don't know where we're going with it. So timing gets all kind of really screwy. But
Yeah. Did you ever hear, you probably did, the Elaine May and what's her partner? Elaine May and
Mike Nichols.
but right. And they were doing, I heard this in college and I just never ever forgot it because it was so funny. They were improving in the studio, and they started going down a road where she was the Jewish mother and he was her son. And he was saying that he had realized what he wanted to do with his life. And she really thought that he was going to become a doctor, right? You could hear it going there. And then he said, Mom, I've decided I want to become a registered nurse. Oh God, that was, and they both died laughing in the studio, and then they picked it up again. Oh boy, that was funny. Very talented people.
Well, yeah, they were both really great.
You said you had done her play. Did you work with her a lot, or she and he, or
No,
did they
just
work
that play. It was the term I was in college
Yeah.
with my mother in the English class.
Okay.
I literally got that show a week after I got back from the road, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I just went into Bill Hickey. They auditioned me. Oh, that was a funny audition. I showed up, I went back, it was HB Studio, and I have this story in my book. And Bill says, I'd like you to do this show, Name of a Soup. Elaine wrote it, but she just wants to see, what you like on stage. So I said, okay, what am I like? What's the character? He said, the character is you, Mark. It's a young boy. It's a next door neighbor. It's you. There's no big deal. Just come in, do a monologue. Don't worry about it. Great. I go home. I'm 18, 19 years old. And I go, I got a show where I can act. Shit. You just don't go in Elaine May. I got a show where I can act. So I picked a monologue from Hello, Dolly, where Vandergelder loses and then finds his wallet. And I decide to do it as an old Jewish man. Accent, walk, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so come in. There's Elaine. She's actually smoking a cigarillo. She's in jeans and a sweatshirt, the most relaxed. It's nothing. This is not a formal big time. And please, what have you brought in? Look, I wallet. Oh my God. Oh, I wonder whose wallet it is. Oh, look, a lot of money. Oh, maybe I could use the money. No, you can't do that. You got it. And I do this whole thing. It goes on 6 minutes. And I kind of look, and this is what I see: is Bill Hickey, who's rather famous, and Elaine May, who's very famous. And the two of them behind the desk like this. I get to the end. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. And I leave, and I'm not even down. I'm not even at the staircase. And Bill comes out and says, "What the fuck did you just do?" What do you mean? I just wanted to show I could do other characters. You're an idiot, Mark. You're really an idiot. You got the show anyway. But don't do that. I told you it's a 16-year-old boy. That's how I auditioned for the show. True story.
Oh boy.
You want to show your talent off. Anyway.
Did she ever work for the Improv? Did they ever do a bit of the
No, they never, because she really wasn't the stand-up. She did the double act with Mike, but
Yeah.
she did that on the recordings,
Yeah.
An Evening with Mike Nichols and Elaine May, and that was a recording of them on Broadway. And they did Improv, which was not in the Improv. The Improv was stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same thing.
Right. They were
And
fun.
she was a screenwriter,
Oh.
and she's did a lot of very, really good screenwriting.
Oh.
Very talented woman. So,
Yeah. Getting back to how you were saying that, it's really naked when you don't have music behind you. I remember thinking about that actually specifically for comics. I don't know. I knew some comics for a little while, and I just thought, shit, that is so friggin' hard, man. I mean, that you just get up all by yourself.
yeah, I did. Okay,
Wow.
so, we were off the wall. We were a big hit. We were like one of the key headliners at the Improv in New York. This is before I moved to Hollywood or any of that. And I came out to do one of the, I think it was the Spencer's pilot. Anyway, we flew out, and I did the show, but now I'm not in the group. There were three of us. So at one point, Henry Winkler was in the group. It was my wife, me, and Henry Winkler.
Oh,
So
oh.
Henry went to California first, and a guy named Jeffrey Lampert took Henry's place. It's more complicated than that, but I'm condensing it.
Yeah.
So now I come back, and I get up, and I go, and I say, I'm going to try my hand at just the single stand-up. Oh, great, no problem. So they give me Saturday night at 11 o'clock in New York City.
Oh my God.
This is the hottest room in the city.
And that's probably
Saturday night at 11 o'clock is the best time slot.
Yeah.
They did it because I was a known quantity.
Yeah.
I started with a bit we did in the act, in the threesome. Screams, applause, incredible. I then went into the first written piece of my stand-up, and I died. It was so bad. It went from this incredible high to a complete disaster, to the point where I asked Glenn Hirsch, who was the MC, to take me off the stage. It was the most humiliating moment of my performing career ever. Not since or not before. It was horrible. And I didn't go back to doing stand-up for another 20 years.
Wow.
That's how painful it was. It was really not a great experience. Not a great experience. Yeah. Anyway, you just reminded me.
Yeah. No. That's, I mean, the process of being an artist, it's it includes everything, doesn't it?
It includes failure in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, 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 especially for comics. You gotta have balls of steel, man. You gotta really be brave to get up there. Much braver, I
But
think, than almost any.
here's how crazy I am. I'm thinking of doing it again. When I
Really?
finish the book, when I
Oh
finish
my
the book.
God.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because I think I understand actually how to do it.
Yeah,
I did it a couple times at open mics,
yeah.
and and I did very well. And what happened was I wrote this act and then I forgot it. And so I'm on stage and I just thought of things I had, snippets I had written, and the spontaneity of my panic and my thinking and it coming out of my mouth, my timing was perfect. My attachment to the audience was perfect. It all worked. I mean, it really worked to the point where the auditioner came over to me. It's in my club. He said, Mark, you really can do this. I said, yeah. I can do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. I can do it. And I then went back the next time when I tried to do just the act and memorize it. It was ridiculous. But I think I got the key to doing it. So we'll try again.
What did you just say what the key was, or is there something?
The key is that it's a conversation.
Mm,
It's not telling jokes.
ah, yeah,
You have to know what you're going to say. I mean,
yeah,
but it's a conversation with the audience. And you can do one line and so on, so that each time you're reestablishing your relationship, or you can tell a story. So then you imagine you're telling a story to a table of people. It happens to be 600 people, but you're telling a story to a table of people. So it's really the relationship you have with the audience.
yeah.
And it's not necessarily the imagery that the words bring up. It is your point of view. So if you're a put down comic, it has to be constant. It has to come from a person who offhandedly insults, an insult comic. Or if it's a soft reality, it has to really meld with the relationship you've established with the audience. And once you get that, anything you say becomes funny. You don't have to say funny things. You have to say things funny. And saying things funny really stems from the personality you establish on stage with the audience. And that's also why it takes so long to become a comic, because you have to learn what that is in you, and in each person it's different. And until you get there, you're going to fail a lot of the time, most of the time, I would say. But if you
That's
keep going
fascinating.
back and you
Yeah,
have the talent, you'll find it.
that's to me, that's fascinating. That's the
Yeah,
fascinating thing about doing whatever you do, It's not just art, but I mean, it's an art to whatever it is, as these books, the art of golf, or, I mean, anything you do, that is, it's like you're finding the essence of what it is and why you do it, and it makes you successful.
that's right. For instance, Larry David, Larry worked when we worked at the Improv, and we would always follow Larry because we could pick up. Larry is not a good stand-up. He really isn't. He admits it. But he's a brilliant writer
Yeah.
and a brilliant constructor of situations, ergo Seinfeld, ergo, Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's situations and now he's learned how to do that Larry thing, that arrogant, fool, let's call it. But Larry knew what every single comic's point of view was. he could tell you, oh, you are the housewife, you are the idiot salesman, you are whatever it was. And he could go down the whole list, but he could never get it to work when he did stand up. But I saw him on, I think it was on Kimmel. Yeah, it was on Kimmel or Colbert, where he actually had that character, and he did a riff on lounging. I'm glad you brought this in because I can lounge. You can, and everything was about that person. And I went, wow, he figured it out, because he would go on stage and bomb consistently. This is before, but everybody knew he knew how to write.
Yeah.
He had great lines, but he couldn't deliver them.
Yeah.
And eventually, but he did create Seinfeld with Jerry, and he's a master at what he does. But he learned that to do that. So he found that character of that bumbling arrogance, my definition of what he does.
Yeah. It's just so interesting. I mean, for me as an artist, as a singer and I've been a jazz artist, well, a singer all of my life, in my entire life. And at various times, I didn't think so much, I guess, and I just did it, and it was great, Then, of course, you grow a little older, you start thinking. And that's kind of a little bit of the downfall, right? And then I'm 68, and I'm still marveling and getting a hold of who I am, and like you say, I have to be able to do it. I have to be able to deliver the goods, but it's not really about that. It's about this communication, really. It is about the communication. And when you click into that, you can really move people with music, especially singers, all instruments, but especially singers, because we have the power of words and images, But the people who move me the most, will literally put me into tears, because they're being so honest. They're being so themselves, that I actually have an experience that's truly personal for me, just from their performance,
For sure. Well, that's the identity that the audience should wind up having with the performer. It is a friendship that you form with the audience. You invite them into your life, into your world, into your art. And when you're doing stand-up, you have to get a laugh from them. So it's a little bit of a manipulation also.
Yeah.
And to find that gauge, how much of this you need, how much of that, is very difficult.
Yeah.
How long is this going to go on? This a conversation with you? Because I did, huh?
Are you getting itchy to get to write?
I was itchy to write when I sat down.
No, it normally goes 2 hours, but you can.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay.
But I mean,
I didn't know that.
Okay. I do tell you, but I know it's all right. Some people kind of space it out. Some people say 2 hours. And then when I say, well, it's been 2 hours, they say, what? It's been 2 hours? So yeah, there's all kinds of, but whenever you're ready. It's been about an hour 40. So.
Oh, so we're approaching the bell.
We are approaching the bell. And I'm happy to say that I actually could come up with important things to ask you and fun things.
So ask.
Well, I already did. I'm out of them.
You're out of important things. Am I that shallow? Oh my God, I'm offended. You're offended.
I do actually, I want to bring up, as you were talking about that, all this stuff, I thought about one of my favorite bits in comedy time for me over the years was Steve Martin doing absolutely nothing, like coming out and actually just not saying a thing and just looking at the audience. I mean, come on, that is, that's unbelievable. You didn't even say anything.
So Larry David had a bit like that, although it came from a reality. He's off stage. We used to follow Larry because we could pick the audience up, because sometimes he'd walk. He would do 2 or 3 jokes, and the audience would, and he was watching somebody, and the audience did not get any of the guy's jokes. The guy who preceded Larry. This is not Larry. And he's watching, and he's watching, and he's watching. And JoAnne and I are standing off stage and, watching Larry watch. He walks on stage, and he decided at some point, we found out later, this wasn't his audience. So he comes out, ladies and gentlemen, Larry David. And he walks on the stage, and he goes like this. Nah, not for me. And he walked off. And the people just said, what? And then the MC said, Mark, JoAnne, get on stage. He just walked off the fucking stage.
Did you actually talk about it when you came on after him?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, on stage.
Yeah. I don't think he found you interesting enough.
Yeah. Well, other people like me growing up and hearing comedians like George Carlin, of course, friggin' genius.
Yes. Different. He recreated himself 2 or 3 times.
Really?
Because he was the button-down comic at one point.
Oh.
He was Mr. Straight Comic. Then he was a hippie. Then he became the old sage. So he came back with different acts.
Yeah.
In various. There's a really interesting. Am I going to remember? Oh, I'm not going to remember the name. There's a documentary about comedy. I shouldn't have brought it up because I don't remember the name of the documentary about stand-up comedians. That's on now on Netflix, I think. And they mentioned George and a whole bunch of the newest Steve Martin. And as you were mentioning all of them, it came to me. Are you searching for it?
I just wrote it down. I can search for it as well. Stand up. I guess it's a stand-up documentary, something like that.
Yeah, some kind of stand-up documentary, right?
Stand-up comedy documentary. Yeah. There's one on Netflix. That must be the same one. Stand-up comedy. Well, there's Christian Charles documentary. Follows Jerry Seinfeld, though. That's a different thing. I guess, well, you probably have to look around a little bit because there's apparently several, but they go under people's names, I think, So, yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's really interesting. So, okay, so you are writing a book, then you are thinking about going into stand-up again. And
Yes.
yeah. And
not actually to make money, just to say I can successfully do it.
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
Because I also, for a while, I taught stand-up at UCLA. I created or helped create the syllabus where they taught stand-up comedy. And they used it for a good while. I think the class is still around.
Wow.
I taught it for about 8 or 9 years.
Interesting.
I just did it.
Yeah.
I think they paid me $25. And it was really crazy.
That's interesting.
And but I never really did it as an individual. I did it for years as a triple.
Yeah.
I was on stage every night basically for years.
Yeah.
Never alone.
Yeah. Did you? Because you were at the Improv when you were running it. Did you go on stage to perform, or did you?
No, I did not go on stage when I was at the Improv. No.
Okay.
No. I went on stage before I owned the Improv.
Yeah.
But not when I was running the Improv.
Yeah.
And before that, even after I was a stand-up, I helped the comics get paid. I was one of the people who helped run the strike at the Comedy Store to get all the stand-up clubs pay for the comics, which was a whole thing.
That's really good. Yeah, I can understand your
Well, they were making money, and even when I became an owner, I didn't want to make my money by depriving someone else of getting paid.
yeah,
Performer, that's how they make a living.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Mitzi was not a. Here's a funny story about Mitzi. Well, Mitzi had passed away, and Paulie Shore, her son, was running the club, and JoAnne was managing Lewis Black, and so JoAnne and I were two of the leaders, along with Tom Dreesen and David Letterman and Jay Leno, of the strike against the Comedy Store. And we ran a successful picket line 24/7 for 7 weeks in order to win that strike. But nobody knew how to run a strike, but I did, because my family were union organizers
Oh.
when I was a kid. All right. So Mitzi is making a fortune, serious fortune. She even had, I think, the Sands Hotel in Vegas was hers. The room in the Sands was hers, and she had the main room and the original room on Sunset, and she had the Westwood Club. She was making a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And one night after we had worked, a comic came over. And I was not a stand-up. I was now an actor, but JoAnne had worked, and we were all Tom Dreesen, David Letterman wasn't. Leno was with us. Marty Cohn, maybe. We're all sitting at the table, and a comic comes over and says, "Hey guys, can you loan me some money for breakfast?" It's New Year's Eve. I don't remember who the comic was. What do you mean loan you? Didn't you work tonight? Yeah. Where'd you work? At the Comedy Store. Didn't you get paid? It's New Year's Eve. No, she didn't. It's just the same as regular. Okay, but now we talk, and Dreesen says, "Okay, we're going to go up and talk. This is crazy." She was probably making $100,000 a week, clear, every week.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
And the guy can't have breakfast. Okay, so they go, and she says, "No, I'm not doing this. This is a college. This is a college. This is not yeah." Okay, great. So she calls a meeting of all the comics, and she says, "You know what just happened last night? The 10%ers, the 10%, the ones who really make money, came to me and they asked that I pay everybody because they don't understand that this is where you learn how to do your craft, and you go out into the world and you earn money because this is a college." And a guy named Ellis Levinson stood up and said, "Mitzi, excuse me." "Yes, Ellis? If this is a college, what degree are we going to get when we're finished?" "Sit down, Ellis, and shut up." Okay. At the end of the meeting, everybody in the meeting, was about 100 comics, a little more. They all ran to call one of the 10%ers, Jay, David, Larry, whatever. "How can I join? What do you mean? What are we going to do?" And now that night we all get together, go, "Look, guys, we'll organize a strike." And we organize the strike. And now the strike begins. And we got to a point where we got the Teamsters to recognize us, but they couldn't recognize us legally because we weren't really a registered union. We were just a group of people who were trying to get registered. And also we fell under the AGVA, American Guild of Variety Artists, banner, and nobody wanted to go with AGVA because they were such a terrible union. So we went to the Teamsters, and the Teamster says, guys, we can't do it, but we'll talk to the drivers. And what the drivers did was they refused to bring the stuff into the building. They said, we'll never cross their picket line. So as long as we had a line up, so they would leave the liquor in the middle of the street. They would leave the food in the middle of the street. And then the guys had to come out and pick it up and bring it in. Okay.
Interesting.
But we weren't getting anywhere, and this is now we're going 6 weeks. So I find out that the AFTRA is having a national meeting of organizers at the Roosevelt Hotel. And maybe we can go and talk to them about recognizing us as an offshoot of them, because pretty much everybody worked in TV. Okay, so they say, yes, we will let you speak, but we're not sure because you're not really chartered as a union. But we have to allow Mitzi to let her people speak too. So we say, we have no problem. So, okay. So up we go. And on our side, it's JoAnne, it's me, Tom Dreesen, and George Miller, I think. And her side is Biff Maynard, Ali Prater, and someone else. Okay. So now we are in a room of 250 union organizers, and we flip a coin and they start. And Biff Maynard gets up and he says, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us here. Missy's very happy to explain to you her concept of what her business is. And it starts with the fact that stand-up comics aren't really workers. He just said that to 250 union organizers. In unison, the entire audience went, ah.
Wow.
I turned to Tom and I go, we just won the debate.
Wow.
Whether that means anything or not, we don't know. So now everybody would go through, and now we can't wait to get out and go back to the picket line. So I jump into the car. JoAnne drives back with Tom. I run up first to explain to everybody on the picket line. I get there. Jay is standing in the driveway going into the Comedy Store. I get out of the car. I park the car. I get out. I go down. Jay, what happened, Mark? What happened? And I begin to explain to him what happened, and that I think they're going to vote at least to support us, even if they can't accept us into the union. And he goes, okay. And behind me, here, what's that? He goes, it's Biff Maynard. It's in his car. Oh, we better let him go in. He goes, no, just stand here. What's he going to do? Run us down? Oh God, okay, here we go. And sure enough, now I don't think he was trying to hit us. He guns the car at us. And he comes right up on the sidewalk. I jump out of the way long before he's even close to me. And Jay just steps a little to the side. And as he's passed, Jay falls to the ground. And you hear, boom. And Jay is now hit by the car. And everybody from the line comes up and Jay, what the hell was that? And he goes, I'm all right, I just slapped the side of the car. Okay, so we know Jay is fine.
Yeah.
Biff Maynard does not know Jay is fine.
Yeah.
Biff Maynard thinks he just ran Jay Leno over.
Yeah.
He runs up to the Comedy Store. Now there's a law, which I'm sure Mitzi was aware of, that if you injure a picketer, dates back to the 30s, the picketer can sue you and take possession of your business because they were killing picketers. They were setting dogs on them and they were beating them up with baseball bats. And not 10 minutes, 5 minutes later, someone comes down. Mitzi would like to talk to somebody. So did Jay go up? I don't know if Jay went up, but Letterman went up, Dreesen went up, maybe Jay went up. And 15 minutes later, strike was over. We won the strike. But
Wow.
She didn't listen to the contract. There was no retaliation. She retaliated. Then we had a suicide because an ex-lover of hers was one of the comics, and he went to the top of the Hyatt house and
Oh,
leapt off into her backyard,
oy,
into the parking lot. Yeah,
oy.
it was a real strike. It was like a 1930 strike. His name was Steve Lebetkin, and in his pocket he had a note that said, "Be fair, Mitzi, be fair." He left. He was off. We would have the meetings in our house, and he that night he kept pratfalling off the arm of our sofa, and we would go, Steve, cut it out. What are you doing? He said, nah, I'm just practicing. Don't worry, everything's going to work out fine. And he left our house, went to the Hyatt,
Wow.
and committed suicide. See, comedy ain't always funny.
Apparently not. Wow, that's an interesting story. Really interesting. Wow. So, wow. Yeah, that was a real
Yeah,
different.
and a guy named Bill Nadelceder wrote, was attached. He was a cub. I don't know. I'm probably insulting Bill now. He was a young reporter,
Yeah.
and he chronicalized the strike, and he then wrote a book called "I'm Dying Up Here," which wound up to be a TV series. And
Yeah.
so he would follow us around all the time, interview people and so
Yeah.
on. Good guy, Bill Nadelceder.
Wow. When was that? What year was that?
That was 1978. It was about a year and a half of 1979, maybe. It was a year before I became a partner at the Improv.
Oh. Huh. Wow.
So it was all kind of
Yeah.
mixed up. That was a very volatile time
Yeah.
in the world of stand-up.
Yeah. Well, wow. It almost is the end, and so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. But it's fascinating talking to you. I mean, it kind of you've given us different corners of your universe. It's really interesting.
It is a universe, yes.
Yeah, really interesting. I will look forward, and I'm sure everybody here will look forward to your book. And also, I want to see you. I want to see you on stage too.
Well, Dolores will know when I go on stage, so you'll hear about it, I'm sure. It won't be for a while though.
Yeah.
But I do have to get the act together. I have to get the concept more solidified. It's a lot of things to do yet. First, I want to finish the story of Mark.
Yeah.
Which is the autobiography.
Hey, I actually wanted to ask you if you're a fan of jazz.
Yes. How do you think I got to know Dolores? I opened for Maynard Ferguson, for Christ's sake.
Me too, actually. But let's see, I was 19, I think. I'm from Boston, but I got into this one and only three-girl dancing and singing act. And I mean, I grew up with twin sisters and we sang, but it was not a singing and dancing thing. And then I did this. We went to Pittsburgh at the Harmer House and we opened for Maynard Ferguson. And anyway, it's funny. But
Maynard was a nice guy. We
very
opened
nice.
for Maynard Ferguson, and then Alan Pepper. Did you ever work the Bottom Line in New York?
No, I was never really in New York that much.
So we get a call from Alan and his partner Sandowski. I think they both were Alan Pepper, Alan Sandowski. Anyway, hey, why don't you come in? Maynard is coming back, and he'd like to say hello. Oh, great. Okay, so we go back to the club, and they sit us in the. I don't know if you knew that it was like a thrust stage, and there was one table right in about 2 tables back from the stage, but it was a little raised. It was the table with, when you ever had a star or something, they sat you at.
Yeah.
And they sat, JoAnne and I, at that table. Jesus, okay, so Alan really likes us, I guess we'll work the room again. And then he's playing a Lullaby of Birdland, which I kept on saying during the gig with him the whole week or whatever. I love that, I really love that song. So now they start Lullaby of Birdland about 3 or 4 songs in. And all of a sudden, Maynard gets a spot put on him, and he walks off the stage, comes over to our table, and plays Lullaby of Birdland to JoAnne and myself sitting
Wow.
at that table in front of the. Holy shit! This is unbelievable. Oh man! So that was great. So then we come off stage, and then Alan comes over to us and says that was a nice surprise. Yeah, that was great. I want you to come back next week because there's a country and western singer we'd like you to see. Okay, we're not big on country and western, but we go back. And again, we're just sitting there,
Yeah.
and it's Dolly Parton,
Oh God.
and it was before she broke. No one even knew this woman. She was headlining at the bottom line. Who knew this? She comes out with the big tits and the hair, and we go, oh, seriously, Alan, this is a joke. You really, really, we gave up a whole evening for this. She opens her mouth, and the two of us go, oh my God,
Yeah.
she's brilliant. It was, what an entertainer. Holy shit. Talk about making a relationship with an audience.
Yeah.
From the minute she walked out, I don't give a shit what she looked like.
Yeah.
She was, whoa, unbelievable woman. Unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
Those are that is my
All right.
bottom line stories.
All right. Well,
And
maybe
Frankie Valley, we just did Coke.
I have a friend who worked with George Carlin, and they they used to get into a tiny airplane, like a small airplane, and smoke, and obviously fill up the airplane, and then get off and do whatever they had to do. But oh my God, the stories with that, it was like, whoa, wow.
Yes. Well, he didn't have to sing.
Right. Well, I'm going to invite you to some gigs, and so I hope you can come, and you're not like stuck in writing writing your book and say, "I'm sorry, Cathy, I can't come."
Oh no, please send it to me. You have my email, right?
Yeah, I do.
And you can always get me through Dolores, but send it to my email. I'm looking at a whole lot of, because my internet was down. I'm looking at dozens, literally 75 emails.
Yeah, that's
Holy shit.
going to distract you from writing today.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to just go and write, and I'll answer these later. Terrible. Okay, anyway.
Thank you so much for being on and for, giving me
Thank you.
2
I'm
hours.
sorry that it all was so crazy in the beginning. I didn't even know I could do this with my phone. I didn't know. I don't have Zoom on the phone. I do now
Yeah,
because I had to do it for you to do this, and it worked fine.
totally.
It's small in my head, but other than that, I don't really look good because the lens sucks. But it is what it is. But thank you for asking me, and it was fun.
Thank you so much. Thanks. And have a great day. And you can actually press end, and then I'll continue just kind of closing out and telling people.
Oh, I can do that. Oh, it's leave. Is that what I'm doing?
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was really fun. I was kind of intimidated at first because I thought comedy, I don't know crap about comedy, but I guess it doesn't matter. I know enough, and it was really a fun conversation. I loved it. So yeah, that was Mark Lonow again, and it was a really fun conversation. I really appreciated that. Tomorrow is a really outstanding East Coast drummer named Tim Horner. He's a drummer He's a composer and arranger. I just actually got his record this week, and this new recording, seriously mind blowing. And I listen to a lot of great jazz, and this one is pretty amazing. It's called The Head of the Circle. It's amazing. 2013 on Origin Records, which is the same label that I'm on, that I just came out with my new CD. And so that's tomorrow. And then Wednesday, an old friend of mine, a really incredible pianist named Kei Akagi. He used to live in LA proper, and then he moved to Orange County and been living there a long time. One of his claims to fame is that he was in the Miles Davis band when Miles was doing his electric show. And but Kay's really nice, very smart. He's a big educator and a fantastic pianist. So that's Wednesday. Then, and actually, the other live person I have on this week, lately I've been arranging different times for other extra shows, and even some of the upcoming live shows are moving a little after 12 o'clock to like 1 o'clock, because people's schedules, there's a lot of people teaching, and I just want to, facilitate them. So in that way, Friday, October 29th, at 5 o'clock, 5 to 7, I will have another live guest, a Brazilian bassist who lives in LA, Leo Nobre, and he's an amazing player, great person. He's a teacher, and he's had an amazing career. And so that's Friday, 5 to 7. That's the extra live guest I have on this week. As far as the archives this week, Thursday, really talented, well-respected singer, jazz singer, and educator from Italy, Giovanna Gattuso. And I can't remember how I first met her, but she did a workshop for me. She has books out, teaching books. She used to come to LA once a year and have this workshop where it would be open for whomever, people from Italy or people from wherever, to come share a house in Venice. I think it was the Venice area. She would have a few guest artists teaching, and that was really a beautiful situation for a lot of people. So she's Thursday. Friday is my dear friend Judy Wexler. And Judy Wexler is a great singer, has been singing for a long time, has a real interesting career line. She also is in PR, but she has done things on NPR too. But she's a singer, and she's been very prolific and always really good choice of musicians and music. She's very well known for her choice of unusual songs. Saturday, a singer in Chicago, Josie Falabo, great singer, kind of bluesy, jazzy, very well known studio singer, and also live singer. And then Sunday, the pianist and big band arranger, Gordon Goodwin. He has the Fat Band, PHAT, the Fat Band in LA. And it's not your typical big band. It's pretty hot with the best players, and he writes great, and they've had quite a long career, very good. And let's see, the following week, I'll just give you the live people. Monday, Lorena Fontana, again, a singer from Italy, and she's a singer and educator. Tuesday, a singer from, I want to say Chicago, but it might be Detroit, who comes here, and she's really, really a good singer. Denise Times, really good. And Wednesday, a very well-known drummer, a personality, Bernie Dressel. And he has his own big band, but he's worked with a lot of people, including me. over the years. And then we also have an extra guest on Friday at 12, actually, who is a divine singer, really well respected all over the world, Luciana Souza. And she's Brazilian. She's married to this producer, Larry Klein, who's produced Joni Mitchell and tons of people. He in the old days in LA, he was working as a bass player, and then just his line of development was really strong. He became a big producer, really great producer. And anyway, they got married. They have a child. Luciana Souza, really beautiful singer, also plays, I don't know what she would call it. You know, we might call it cocktail drums, but it's not cocktail drums. It's Brazilian drums. But one time I saw her at the Blue Whale with Larry Kuntz on guitar and David Pilch on bass, and her singing, standing up and playing this, basically a drum pad, basically. And yeah, just amazing. And that night, Blue Whale was packed to the rafters and not a sound in the house except the music. Really great. She's lovely, and she's a lovely person. So that's a week from Friday also, and that's at a noon hour. So anyway, just keep track. I have to go update my website. I'm relatively updated. And anything else I want to tell you? Yeah, that's about it. So have a really good time. Enjoy the rain today in LA. And if you're not in LA, have a great day wherever you are. Thanks again to my guest, Mark Lonow.